So ever since April 14th, we all witnessed the spaceflight backlash associated with Blue Origin that actually involved those like Katy Perry, Gayle, Jeff Bezos' fiance, and among others out there. And at the same exact time, we have all seen how the backlash is beginning to snowball at this point. We all know that at the same exact time, Katy Perry and her entire team, they're going into damage control. It's only making matters worse. They're really trying to fix the entire situation. Everything that's going on with the backlash, the entire pushback from the general public. What people would have rathered, in my mind, is that if these celebrities had handpicked regular American citizens or anybody around the globe and have given them a handpicked ticket to actually pay for the overall costs to go up in space, I think that would have been way, more interesting than just having a pop star like Katy Perry and those like Gayle going up. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So we know that the damage control by those like Katy Perry, Gayle, even Jeff Bezos, but specifically also Katy Perry's team has worked to no avail. Nobody's buying anything anymore, nobody's believing in any of their nonsense, and Katy Perry is seemingly doubling down on really confronting the critics, confronting the general public that was very opinionated about the Blue Origin spaceflight for valid reasons out there. And this is where it gets even worse, because now they're dragging in gender politics into the equation yet again, and really doubling down on that overall growing, subject. What's interesting about this further, though, is exactly how far Katy Perry is willing to go to really address the critics, right? Those that have been questioning the spaceflight and exactly how it was orchestrated on live television. We all know that it was, yes, over-exaggerated. We all know that it was definitely, done in a specific way where, they wanted to actually focus on celebrities only. That's basically what it all boiled down to, and that's only part of the backlash, though. With the Katy Perry backlash only getting worse ever since April 14th, not just through mainstream media, but also across the board on social media. One major development going on now involves more to do with Katy Perry's behavior with, of course, the critics of the Blue Origin spaceflight out there, where she recently delivered the following. I think that the response that we received as women not only made me very teary-eyed, but also shocked me that once we landed from going out to space and experiencing the same thing astronauts do every single day, it made me realize how cruel and terrible people can be. We are seeing tons of claims out there that our flight was over-exaggerated. Well, all I can say is nobody knows what it's like to go up to space and come down. It completely changes your mindset. But once I landed and saw the social media reactions, it made me realize that we are still dealing with issues with sexism in this country and around the globe, and that is something that needs to be addressed. This experience that I had, both up there and down here, I'm going to own it in ways that people would never even imagine, and you will see in the coming months. It's going to be a game changer for my career, but what I will say is this, that it's seemingly still a very substantial issue that people have problems with all female groups doing the first ever thing in history, such as this. We accomplished something that deserves to be printed in the history books, whether people like it or not. The response made me very teary-eyed because I don't think the issues with women are going away anytime soon. The reality is that we went up to space, all women did, and that is something that should be celebrated, not made a mockery of. We did the very same thing astronauts do all the time, risking their lives and really gambling with danger. So guys, let me just say one thing there. They're not doing the same exact thing that astronauts do every single day. Let's be very clear. Number one, they didn't really go as high as regular astronauts really do. They didn't even have to wear helmets. I mean, just put that into the overall conversation. They didn't have to wear helmets. They weren't up in space for even a day. A lot of these astronauts, they're up there for months upon months. And so you really can't compare. Basically, everyone is comparing this to a mega thrill ride, kind of like the Dr. Doom freefall ride in Universal Orlando where you go up and then you go down, right? They're kind of comparing it to that, except on a wide scale. So she goes on to move on further. I know and appreciate love and empathy now so much for the Earth, and it's why I kiss the ground. I will continue to always address real-world issues, but coming up and down from space made me realize that we have even more issues to deal with on our hands that I think that is going to take generations to fix. I really think social media is to blame here. The negative criticism that we received is blown out of proportion. I don't believe we over-exaggerated at all. We didn't stage any of our reactions or what we were going to do up there, and it's something that I think people need to just accept. So guys, again, I mean, I think that's, just a bunch of PR damage control at this point for Blue Origin. Basically, the fact that they were all looking into the cameras instead of looking out the window for the majority of their time floating in the capsule and in space, quote-unquote, I think just goes to show you that this was all nothing more than a publicity stunt. It was a way for them to actually get more, recognition, to have a lot more attention on them, and to somewhat reignite their careers. And I think that's definitely the case with Katy Perry, because we all know what she's doing with her upcoming Lifetimes tour, where she does plan to incorporate this spaceflight experience into her concert tour, where she will share stories exclusively to the audiences that go ahead and actually see her concerts from now on until December for that tour. But that's just the beginning of it all. We know that Gayle King is doubling down on this by incorporating the flight into her career and her future career, that she's trying to do different things. But what's interesting about this yet again is the fact that she keeps dragging in gender politics into the argument. She keeps doubling down on gender politics, alright, when it comes down to sexism and misogyny and all this nonsense. Look, nobody cares about that. Nobody really cares about the fact that it was just an all-female group that went up there. It was really, the core issues here as to why so many people are just laughing at this and are over-exaggerating. In her mind, she believes they're over-exaggerating, but really, people are calling it out for what it is. It's a handpicked full of celebrities that paid millions upon millions of dollars to go up there. And at the same exact time, when you look at it in isolation, they really didn't even value what they were doing when they went up there. They paid all this money to go up into what they call space, which was really just, a lower orbit of space. They went up there and they didn't even really pay attention to the outside, view of Earth all that much. We saw Katy Perry staring in the camera, we saw Gayle King doing the same, and everyone else on board really just not all that, attentive of what was really going on, and really using it as a big photo opportunity is what it seemed like. And that's just the one little valid piece of criticism. Now, she goes on to conclude, we deserve and quite frankly, we should demand to be celebrated for doing such a courageous act and gambling with our lives going into a piece of machinery where something could go wrong at any moment. I think we deserve an apology from everybody, but I'm not expecting anybody to do that anytime soon. So again, I mean, she seems to be getting very bitter at this point when it comes to the spaceflight backlash. And look, we know that earlier reports, we talked about this, that Katy Perry was deeply regretting going up there based on how much negative press that she was getting. But now she's trying to own it. She's trying to incorporate it into her career, and she already kind of alluded to that about 3 minutes ago when we talked about that, how she goes on to say about how she's going to do things that, one would never even imagine, and how she's going to incorporate that into her career. That all is working in conjunction with what we talked about, of what's going on behind closed doors, but how she's going to drag the experience into her Lifetimes tour, both sharing stories in between songs on stage, and also sharing exclusive footage of the build-up to the flight, such as the training, quote-unquote, and preparing for the flight, and even new footage of themselves actually inside the capsule. So again, I think it's a very phony and fake type of response. It's obviously another thing that Katy Perry always does, but I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.